This is Nasha Kasha, Ukrainian Almanac. 28 minutes of stories for everyone about Ukrainian life. Nasha Kasha is heard on 19 campus and community radio stations from Newfoundland to British Columbia. I'm your reporter, Stefan Andrusiak, and this is episode 224. Much of it was broadcast in December of 2019.
Amherstburg, Ontario, a half-hour's drive south of Windsor. In 1776, the United States declared independence. Britain would lose its 13 colonies. After the American Revolutionary War, the British established Fort Malden. It was a military stronghold overlooking the mouth of the Detroit River at Lake Erie. Colonists were French-speaking. Back then, Detroit was pronounced Detroit, which is French for straight, as in a body of water. The Underground Railroad for African American slaves was situated here before the American Civil War. Although Michigan was called a slave-free state, bounty hunters would descend upon Detroit to recapture slaves, turning them in for a reward. So, to safely escape slavery, you'd have to cross over to Canada. This travel is mentioned in Uncle Tom's Cabin, an anti-slavery novel by American author Harriet Beecher Stowe, which was published in 1852. Today, the Amherstburg Freedom Museum and Fort Malden are tourist attractions, but this particular Saturday I will forego these points of interest in Amherstburg and head straight to a big box store. You see, my Aunt Katherine lives in Amherstburg. I'm here at Walmart to pick up 2 potted poinsettia plants. I have a hunch that she'd rather I bring her half a dozen hash browns. They are her guilty pleasure, after all. However, I'm told that poinsettias are more festive. At her residence, on her floor, a bingo game is in full swing.
062.
But I can't delay.
B3.
I've booked an interview with my favorite aunt, and she's expecting me.
I am Katherine Leskiw.
And you're my aunt.
And I'm special aunt to Stefan.
You're my totya.
Yes, I am. And it's a pleasure to be your totya, because I just love you.
I love you too. Tell me about how your parents came to Canada. Як вони сюди дісталися?
My father, I was only a year old. My brother was 2.5.
Where were you born?
I was born in Ukraine, Selo Beremuchi,
And where is that? Which part of Ukraine?
part of western Ukraine, a mile from Zvoriu,
What's a big city that's close to that?
Ternopil.
Oh, Ternopil, okay.
And my father left for Canada, a very young man, and left my mother with 2 children.
Why did he leave?
He went to Canada to find a better life for himself, because they were under Poland then, and he had to get away.
So which year was this?
That was in 1925.
And he was allowed to leave?
Yes, he was. He was a Situae Strelats. He was with Cornwallis.
So a Situae Strelats is a rifleman?
Yeah, he was with Cornwallis, and he had a rank. And then my dad made out the papers, and we came to Canada in 1930.
So your father came first.
Yeah, Dad came in 1925. I was a year old.
How did he make a living here?
He had 4 jobs, even went to St. Catherine's for a job in order to make everything work for him.
What did he do? What kind of jobs?
My dad was a cabinet maker.
Okay, so they made furniture in Toronto?
They made furniture, they made cribs, they made windows, they made beautiful coffee tables. If you would phone my father, 2 o'clock in the morning, he would come to you and help you. He never refused, always helped people.
So it was you and your brother?
My brother's older. He was 2.5, and I was only 1 when my dad left Ceylon.
The village.
Village, yes, I'm sorry. You know, he was a superman.
What do you remember of your early life in Toronto?
That was my most memorable days of my life, because I was a child that was interested in everything. Whether it was singing, whether it was the kemovate, whether it was dancing, I had to do it all. And those were my happy days.
What did you like singing the most?
Well, it came a time, Pan Surychensky was the director of Boyan Choir.
This is the Toronto Boyan Choir and the song Kalina.
I was 13 when I joined the choir, and I was getting solos, soprano solos, and things like that. And one day he says, Katrusha, could you come earlier next week? And I came earlier, and he says, let's come to the piano. He was a man, he could teach 5 parts in one night in choir.
So his name was
Surychensky.
Sorochensky.
Yeah, and he sat down at the piano, and he's going do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, do, and how high I could go. And he tried me out. He said, Katrusha, you're not a soprano anymore. You're an opera singer. And that's when he started me with the Poison and there were so many that followed.
So how old were you?
I was very, very young. I was 15.
And you walked in and he auditioned you and he pronounced you an opera singer.
Exactly.
What is Zaporozhets Zadunaim about? What's the story?
Exile in exile.
So it was a Cossack who was exiled?
Yes.
And you were the heroine?
I was the one. I was the real sharp one.
So what was the big song in Zaporozhets Zadunaim?
Because Halaminimata.
And how does it go? Sing it for me.
Oh, my dear, I can't do that now. I lost my voice.
This is Oi Kazala Meni Mate, Odarka's song from Zaporozhets Zadunai, performed here by soprano and bandura virtuoso Larissa Kovalchuk from her album My Beautiful Songs. Я думаю, що ми можемо заколядувати.
О, я можу вінчувати. I'll tell you, I
Can you sing Бог предвічний?
No, I can't, won't tackle. I won't really.
Okay.
But I will tell you, I was 14. That was 1944, during the war. And every time we would go to Duvates, it was always Vinchayan. And I said, I've got to write something. So I started to write Vinchuyaneni. And I said, and I wrote my Vinchoya.
So Vinchuvate is a greeting
For Christmas.
So the carolers come to a house and one of them greets the person who opens the door. And what did you say?
And I Vinchuyu was Nene.
I greet you today,
Всі добрі люди.
all you good people.
Нехай ласка Божа
May the grace of God
все з вами буде.
always be with
Нехай
you.
кожної днини,
May every day,
кожної години
every hour,
Бог благословить вас.
God bless you.
Біда не згине.
Troubles vanish.
І будьте здорові.
Be healthy
Разом з діточками.
with your
А
children.
смутку і горя
May sadness and grief
не буде між вами.
not be among you.
Христос рождається.
Christ is born. O Свята Марія Мати, Holy Mother Mary, performed by Darinka and Anastasia Mikhailiou.
Вифлеємі радість стала, зірка в небі засіяла. О свята Марія, мати, ми прийшли тебе вітати, Христос родився. О свята Марія, мати, ми прийшли тебе вітати, Христос родився.
I went to high school's Harper Collegiate in Toronto. I took designing course, right? It was in the university. Actually, I designed my wedding gown for your uncle. When we got married, I designed the dress.
Now, this was around the time of the war?
Yes, we called Wildemer was done in January from the Navy, and we got married in May.
So he was in the Canadian Navy during the Second World War.
Yeah.
So was the war over?
No, when we got married, the war was over because it was 45 and we got married in 46. I'll tell a little story how I met him, if I may.
Yes.
I was going around with the dentist at that time, and he came to the hall that was on 300 Baptist. That's the hall that we bought from communists. And then after
So the Ukrainian organization UNO bought a hall from the communists in Toronto.
Toronto. And then we went downstairs. He went to check the coats. And here I'm standing waiting for him. Meanwhile, your worker comes to me. Of course, we knew each other because Moon means he was a president Moon in Kirkland.
And Moon was the youth branch of the organization,
Yes.
Ukrainian National Federation, UNO.
And then I was Moon secretary. So if it was Moonbeams that we came with the little magazine, I would forward it to different organizations as secretary.
So your organization was called Moon, and your magazine was called Moonbeams?
Moonbeams.
How cute.
Yeah.
Moon in the sky, місяць на небі, рушничок.
I'm standing, and your uncle, Waco Walter, comes to me. Katrusha, he knew my name. Could I have this dance? And I went to dance with him. Imagine me doing that. Not only one dance did I dance with him, I danced 5 dances.
Wait a second. You come to a dance with your boyfriend or your date who's a dentist. He goes to check the coats. You dance 5 dances in a row with someone else?
I was a bad, bad girl.
Okay.
And then when I came back, he said, we're going home. And then your Waco sends me a dozen roses next day. And I get it from my father. Why are you getting these roses and all that? So it was quite a story to tell. But we did make it. And my dad called me after we were corresponding. And my dad calls me. And I said, Tatu, як я вийду за Володимира, я ніколи не буду нарікати. And тепер я розумію, що ти вже доросла. And I'll give you blessings.
Wow. You said that you would come to him every day that you felt badly if you married the dentist, but there would be no bad days with my uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a charmer.
Well, I'm starting to feel a little sorry for your dentist.
Well, he understood. So we were were getting married, everything was rationed. Butter, rice, whether it was beer, wine, liquor. Everybody, all our neighbors, all our family, all our friends have went out and bought and saved them at their home under basements, under beds, whatever. We had to go to Buffalo to buy rice because there was nothing here in Toronto. I was very, very lucky.
Was it a big wedding?
It was 600 people.
600 people.
There were 600 people, and beside a week ago, before our wedding, it was on Italian Hall on College Street. All the weddings were there, and they had a big fight a week before, so they canceled not having no more weddings there. So we had a little church in St. Patrick. And people were all over it, sitting in chapels and all over. So we didn't start daroving till 11 o'clock at night.
Daroving is where they come up to the head table and give gifts. Did you get a lot of presents?
The wishes, with a lot of wishes and presents and what have you.
So did I understand correctly, you were going to go to an Italian hall, but then they wouldn't let you because there was a fight there?
And they wouldn't rent it out anymore.
So you had it in a church basement?
In a church. No, it was not in church. It was a church upstairs, and it had a chapel on one side and a hall on the other side.
And they had room for 600 people?
Well, the people were all over. It was a beautiful wedding.
This is the Manzirka and the Ukrainian Wedding March. Do you remember coming to Montreal and meeting me for the first time?
Yes.
Must have been 1960.
1960. And your mother and I just got along. I loved your mother, Marusha. Just loved her. And you were everything to her. Just like Andrea is to me, having only one child.
Well, children are children. And I think when I was 11 or 12, I didn't like something my parents wanted me to do. And I got on my bicycle and I ran away from home, and I was going to Toronto to be with my aunt, Katherine.
Oh, thank you so much. I remember that. But I did find out that's what you wanted to do.
I was on my bicycle. It started to get dark. I got as far as, maybe 30 blocks, and I thought, I'm hungry, so I turned around and I went back home. That was my running away from home experience. But I was going to see you in Toronto.
But that's how much I loved you. I'm sure I showed you how much I loved you, because you were so good to me all my life. All my life, you were like a son.
And you were the woman I left home for.
No, that was beautiful. No, that's memory. That's my дорога життя.
But you rode in life. You rode in life.
Хто, як не я, розбудить тебе на світанку? Хто, як не ти, мені подарує тепло? Хто, як не я, відчує твої бажання і залишить у пам'яті тільки добро. Підемо одною дорогою разом і долю одну поділим на двох. Підемо одною дорогою разом, одна в нас дорога, одна любов. Підемо одною дорогою разом і долю одну поділим на двох.
Oksana Sankyu from Montreal singing her own composition, Одна дорога, One Road. Still to come in the show is Serom Pirohe by the a cappella group Джерела, which means sources or wells. And at the end of the show, the song Любов, which means love, by Madheads. You lived in Toronto. Everything was great in Toronto. Why did you move to Windsor?
Well, Walter was looking for a business, your uncle, and he had quite a few bids on hotels because Like you said, my father had a hotel with my brother, so they thought he would better himself. And we came here, and the hotel didn't go through. And then he went back to the post office. They took him back.
So he worked for Canada Post in Toronto.
Yes.
He left thinking that he would start a hotel because your brother and your father owned a hotel already in Windsor?
Windsor, yes.
Okay, so this was 69 when you moved.
Yeah, 69.
Okay. But you decided the hotel didn't go through, but you decided to stay in Windsor.
Well, the people were so nice. Don't forget, we sold the house in Toronto, and we already put a deposit in Dr. McGinty's house. So we were kind of trapped in a way. And then he took the job at the post office, which is the best thing he ever did.
But you could have gone back to Toronto. Where did you want to stay?
I actually wanted, I loved the people here. The people, when Walter was still in Toronto, I was by myself here with my daughter, Andrea. The people just came to me, Katrusha, I know you don't have a car. Could we come and pick you up for school at the church?
In those days, both in Toronto and in Windsor, I think it was family, work, and church. Those were the three pillars, right?
Yeah, we never went somewhere else.
You were always a very good cook.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, I do know about that.
No, I did love to cook. I loved to make surprise parties.
What's the secret to making good vareniki, good pierogi?
It's the dough and how you put it together.
It's like ravioli. You need good dough for ravioli.
That's right, but it's got to be thinner.
Well, what are the ingredients for good pierogi dough?
Well, three cups of flour and 1 cup of water, sometimes milk, sometimes potato water, and a little bit of yeast, just touch, chooch. And the secret is, you can make the best bit of hair, but if your edges are hard, the secret is the edging, making it very, very thin. And a lot of people just put it together.
I see. So you really have to press down on the edge.
Oh, yeah. You have to use butter and the onions to doctor them up, and you serve with sour cream, of course.
You to put on top.
Ішов я раз по межі терени, здибав я дівчину, що несла пироги. Ой, чули ви, і здибав він дівчину, що несла пироги. Павова кум, дівчина ти голубко, чи знаєш мої сни, що я тебе кохаю, і сиром пироги. Ой, чули ви, що він її кохає, і сиром пироги. Дівчина, як зачула козацькі мрії сни, відразу запросила на свіжі пироги. Ой, чули ви, відразу запросила на свіжі пироги.
Ніколи не міняйте
Любов на пироги. Па-па-па-пам. Ось так!
Any thoughts on, you're what, 94?
It's God's will. I'm 94 and a half.
What advice do you have for me and my children?
Love. Be good to one another. I'm going to quote Ellen, that she should be a friend to each other and enjoy life. Enjoy now, not tomorrow. Enjoy now what comes and enjoy it.
This Ellen DeGeneres?
Yes.
Oh, you like Ellen DeGeneres?
Yes, because she says that. Be friend to everybody. And I believe in that too.
You're a pretty sharp dame.
No, I'm not.
You know I left home because of you.
I know. I'll never forget that as long as I live. God gives me life. I just want to say how grateful I am to you, Stefana, that I have you in my life and you and the children. And my Andrea, I don't know what I would do if I wouldn't have her.
She's a miracle, actually. You were how old when this was your only child and Andrea came along?
I was 40 when I had her. We had no children for 20 years.
How common was that for someone, a woman of 40 in those days, to have?
Well, that was a shocker. Everybody, when I had Andrea Women's College Hospital in Toronto, and everybody was sending flowers. The room was filled with flowers. The hall was full of flowers. And the nurses, the women that were having babies, they were going home. And of course, I was still there.
You were still there longer than anybody else because it was a difficult birth?
Yes, a month. I was there a month.
Why a month?
Andrea was premature in what they had to do because it was just a hard delivery. That was the best bundle of joy.
These days, there's technology, there's artificial insemination. Was there something special that had to happen for you to become pregnant, or did it just happen?
It just happened. It just happened. It was magic. And I think Diva Maria helped me.
The Blessed Virgin Mary.
Yeah, I think so. Because I thank her every day for that.
This daughter of yours, Andrea, she's a pretty sharp cookie.
Oh, I'm very proud of her. She has achieved quite a bit. She's my life. Without her, I don't think I would be here either.
Well, you did a pretty good job teaching her.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
This has been a pleasure.
God bless you, Стефане. Дякую тобі, що ти подумав за мене і пам'ятаєш свою чочу. Добраніч.
In Ukrainian, Dobranich means good night. My Aunt Katherine Leskiw died September 9th, 2020.
В піснях і снах давно ми йдем, рука в руці, не зможе страх сльозу сховати на щоці. То є знак, що на серці щось не так, і в грудях тисне та сила, що роститься спиною, крила стрибай у прірву з головою. Літай, якщо нас є двоє, вогонь, всі сумніви на серці, я твой.
I'd like to gratefully acknowledge that Nasha Kasha is partially funded by the Shevchenko Foundation.
And by the Ukrainian Credit Union. I'll be back in a week, God willing. До милої зустрічі за тиждень часу, дорогі слухачі.